The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Hasbro, and Subaru Productions. Hello everyone and welcome back to a new episode of Tokucast Reviews. If you're a regular viewer, you may notice something different about me, and you would be correct.
Yeah, he's wearing a different shirt.
I was going to say I'm wearing new shoes, but you are correct on that as well. Welcome back to episode number 149.
Yes.
Marcus and Jacob here to discuss Choujinki Metalder.
Yes, going back to Metal Hero.
Yes, we are.
I will say, because I started this one a while ago. Even though with the way that it ended, I still really like this show. But let's talk about the opening. It's standard.
It is very standard. My favorite part of it is, of course, the very beginning, where he stands sword drawn on the beach and runs toward the ocean and is like, I'm going to hit these waves.
I remember when we watched all the openings.
Yep, I do.
We were just like... And then we watched the show where he doesn't have a sword.
No, he doesn't.
He has a laser arm.
He's got a bunch of gadgets and gizmos aplenty.
Not even really. He just has different ways to punch you.
Yeah.
He gets no extra weapons.
It's... I don't know, the Baskin Robbins of punching?
Pretty much.
32 different flavors?
He's a kikiter of punching. That's what we're going to do, a kikiter eventually. I sort of want to talk about this show holistically.
That's fine with me.
Instead of going episode by episode. Although, unlike some of the other things that we review from the 80s, this has actual storylines.
It has characters that carry through and repercussions for said characters.
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, mostly on the villain side.
Yeah. There isn't really a lot to do on the hero side, in all honesty.
No, because you've got,
Metalder,
who's, what is his real name? Ryusei?
Yeah, Ryusei Tsurugi.
Ryusei, and then we've got...
The dog Springer.
I will say, that gives this show about 1 billion more points.
It's true.
It has dogs. A talking dog.
There were multiple dogs in this show. So I approve. My Ogi, who works for...
The photographer.
Yeah, the photographer who works for Up is the name of her magazine. And Hako Kita, who shows up a little bit later. He's a motorcycle racer who also really likes girls. So I was already not interested. But yeah, Ryusei Tsurugi was made by Dr. Ichiro Koga and...
He's a cyborg, an android.
An android
in this case. He's an android who was created by this doctor, imprinted with the personality of his deceased son.
Who died in World War II.
Yes, and this android was created as a countermeasure to fight the Americans in World War II.
Yes.
But it was never used.
Yeah.
Which I find kind of fascinating.
I do too.
That is a very interesting plot point.
The background for this character is very intricate and very interesting. And I think that's sort of thing that really drew me in almost immediately with this show. Mm-hmm. I really appreciated the things that they did.
I wasn't expecting them to show, footage that you see on like the Christian Children's Fund where it's sad children looking out of fences and Toku, but hey.
Africa.
Use how you can.
Just Africa, parts of Asia, parts of the Middle East. It's just... Ooh. It's a thing.
We have to visualize the suffering of the world.
With the arms of an angel.
No, this was just some guy going, you could support a child for 25 cents a day. You can sponsor this mass.
And this is before Sarah McLachlan.
Yes.
This is the 80s. She didn't start until the 90s.
I think it was before. I think it was after that song, but it wasn't used in these ads.
Yeah, that took a little bit. There's also Top Gunner.
Yeah, I appreciated the name.
Same. Just Top Gun with a DER.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it works.
I loved his character. I'm not going to say loved, actually. Mm-hmm. Because I wish his character showed up more. And I think if this show didn't get Jack Hood halfway through, that would have happened. We would have gotten more with him.
Mm. It is on the shorter side. It is 39 episodes.
Yeah, this show didn't get the kids' attention, so they cut it.
I don't really blame it.
Oh, no. No, not at all. I don't blame the show for that whatsoever, because I really thought the show was interesting, but they just really sped that ending. They sped the hell out of the ending. But they fight Neros.
So, yeah, the Neros Empire is our villainous organization, and it does something interesting that we don't see a lot of because normally when we have our villain organization, whether it's Toku or a Sentai or Rider or whatnot, there'll be like the big boss at the front and at the head of the organization, and then below him we'll have generals and then monsters, and then we have the minions. And in this one, we have God Neros, who is our big bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then
secretaries.
Beautiful secretary K and S. Yeah,
they don't get names.
They don't get names. They're just beautiful secretaries. But God Neros has full on armies at his disposal, multiple armies with various generals and monsters within them.
Yeah, and they all
which is an interesting twist on this, I think.
They also have ranks.
They have ranks.
I really like the fact that ranks are a straight up thing in this.
They are armies. Yeah, so we have Neros' Empire, and within that, the Yoroi Army, the Battle Robot Army, the Monster Army, and the Mechanical Army.
Yeah.
A little bit of redundancy there.
With the robot and mechanical.
And Battle Mechanical, I think you'd be able to maybe merge those two departments, but...
Especially because I think that the Mechanical Army doesn't really do much in comparison to the other three.
Mm.
I don't remember anybody from them. I remember somebody from each of the other ones.
Mm.
But I don't remember anybody from them.
Yeah, fair enough.
They're the ones who are just like, we're here too. Okay. They're the ones who are sort of the most actually annoying, though, because they have the two flying ones.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
They have an annoyance, and that's just about it. You got nothing.
So where should we talk about next?
Okay. God, this is actually sort of hard to do. I want to talk about something that I loved, and you mentioned it earlier.
Okay.
Where there are consequences for actions, and they usually pop up again later.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite ones was the one that was based on, just a Japanese legend in this case with Benkei.
Yeah, Benkei.
Who Metalder,
the warrior monk.
Yeah, who Metalder fights early. He fights him in like episode 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then he shows up again later after Metalder spared him, because there was a lot of respect that Metalder ended up feeling for a lot of these people.
Mm-hmm.
And Metalder spared him, and he ends up, going around as a monk, and he ends up helping Metalder in another episode to save a family.
Yep.
And he ends up taking down, basically just a whole bunch of foot soldiers, a couple of monsters on his own. And he dies standing up, just like Benkei did.
With arrows in his body.
Yeah. And I'm just like, I love the fact that things come back. And that's really a lot of what Metalder is about.
Mm-hmm.
There are constant callbacks, especially on the villain side, where they just straight up don't like each other. So occasionally they'll try to just sabotage one another.
They'll try and sabotage one another, or, if they're on the same side and they do like each other, the way they're... I'm thinking about, the finale, the last couple of episodes in particular, where you had that one general and his female underling.
Oh, yeah.
And the way she is constantly trying to... I forget their names.
Balaski and Lortel.
Balaski, because they say it 400 million times.
Yeah, and Lortel.
Lortel. That, their whole dynamic in the last couple of episodes, where she is just pleading with him to just leave and escape so they can get away. He will not. I must fight. I must see this through to the end. And she winds up taking a fatal hit for him.
The weirdest thing is, especially with them,
it is a level of emotion I wasn't expecting this show to get to.
Especially with them, and I'll talk about another one in the Monster Army later, because
I think I know who you're going to talk about.
Balaski was Top Gunder's general.
Yeah.
At one point in the story before Top Gunner left the Neros Empire. And he and Top Gunner actually ended up having some pretty good interactions when they're together. And Balaski, I think, is talking the most outside of, what's his name? Coogan.
Mm-hmm.
Ends up talking to Metalder the most because they're both robots.
Mm-hmm.
And I just love... I think he was honestly my favorite general in this, because I remembered him probably the most.
Mm.
Simply because of the interactions that he ends up having with everybody else in the show. But the Monster Army, and Hedda Gross, Wisdom, and Hedda Gross Jr.
Mm-hmm.
This was great.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah, so did I.
Hedogros was a part of the monster army. He wanted to beat Metalder to, get a life for him and his wife, Wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And, he ends up going out to fight Metalder. Metalder rips a part out of him, by the way. Metalder ripped parts out of the monster army. Like, if you're a monster and you're in an army, watch out.
Hope he kept a warranty on those parts.
Yeah, because
they need to be replaced because Metalder's going to rip them out.
Yeah. Like, he beats Hedogros, and we end up going to Wisdom at the end of that episode, and then, like, a couple of episodes later, Wisdom comes in and tries to attack him, but she's pregnant at the time that Metalder ends up seeing, so Metalder doesn't want to fight her. And so, after a little bit, when she starts, like, failing...
That's something we certainly have never seen before.
Yeah.
A pregnancy on the villain side, and the hero being like, whoop, no.
So
I ain't touching that.
He ends up getting her out of there after... The rest of the Neros Empire ends up turning on her after she fails a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then she ends up giving birth, and the monsters grow quickly. So Hedogros Jr., I believe, played by a previous Sentai actor. We'll talk about that because a whole bunch of people show up later on.
Oh, yes, they do. One in particular I'm excited to talk about.
Yeah. Dinah Blue shows up as Hedogros
Oh, really?
Jr.
That's who it was. Cool.
In this, and tries to get Metalder, but Metalder won't fight him because he realizes that, he looks just like both of his parents. And then Wisdom shows back up and helps Hedogros Jr. get out of the Neros Empire, and they go off and have their own lives.
I loved that so much.
It's probably
I loved it. The end of that episode where it's like mother and son walking off into the distance and like they're okay.
Yeah.
They don't come back later and die horribly. Like they're okay. Their part in the story is done.
Yeah.
Metalder managed to get them to safety, and it's great.
And it was like the lead up to it from Hedogros first showing up until that part. I stand. This show, especially early on, has so many good parts to it, and like you see people in the background, like. Pretty much throughout the entire show, like whenever everybody's in the Ghost Underground. Yeah. Or the Ghost Bank.
The Ghost Bank, yeah.
That they're all sitting in. And like you see them all lined up behind their generals when when Neros comes in. And these people will like come in and out of shot. Yeah. To pull focus.
They are crowded scenes.
Yeah.
They're crowded scenes because... We've talked about in Toku many times before how our episode opens, and meanwhile at the headquarters of the Legion of Doom, and Big Boss Man says, "Duh, curse those Rangers, I want to destroy them." And then Monster Maker is like, "Well, don't worry, sir, I've created this monster to do it today, come on in." And then the Price is Right music plays, and a monster comes in, and he's like, "Hey, I'm Slimy Steve, and I'm gonna go kill the Power Rangers, wow!" And then he dies, end of story, nothing changes, nothing moves on.
There's no consequence.
And in this one, the Ghost Bank scenes, like the throne room scenes, they're so densely packed. Yeah. You have God Neros, like a great deal of distance between him and everyone else because he is the one in charge. Yeah. And everyone else is off, and like everyone comes out of different entrances, and you have like people taking focus at the front, and you have bickering, and you have infighting between different factions, and within the same faction, and it's not terribly like the monsters. They're kind of white noise in the way they're designed. I think
sometimes
at least some of the background ones do feel that way, but. You get like somebody steps forward and it's like, okay, like Top Gunner, for example, he's got a unique design, and the way they interact is so different. So it's just, this is, I think, the most cinematic I've ever seen something be from this era.
I can agree with that.
And not just that, but also there are things that they do with the camera and action scenes that we have not seen anything in the Showa era do.
They did one thing near the end of the show where they did the slow down, speed up, and I was like, "What?" Yeah, I just wasn't.
It was unexpected. There is a moment in I think it's in the first episode where Metalder, he's fighting a horde of goons, and he gets like knocked to the ground, and the camera like follows him to the ground, and then it keeps following him as he gets up and keeps fighting. Yeah, and it's like, oh, that's interesting because usually it's like. Plant the camera here, fight, move the camera over here, get some more pickup shots, move the camera over here. It's not, it isn't terribly exciting to watch in terms of the editing.
Yeah.
And in this one, they do some really cool things with the editing.
They do.
There's this one shot in particular where a monster is attacking a I think it's like a stage area or like a park area. It's like shooting lightning out or something.
Oh, no, I thought you were going to talk about the musician who shows up again later on.
I think it was that episode.
Yeah. He shows up again randomly in an episode, playing music for the kids.
Yeah, I think it was that. I think it was him. But like he's like shoots like a projectile out, and he's like aiming at Metalder, and Metalder moves out of the way. But instead of following Metalder, we follow his arm as it shoots.
Yeah,
and we see like civilians running away from this like POV shot of the projectiles being fired. I was like, oh, that's really cool.
They just do so much interesting stuff, especially when you have some of them some of the monsters are brothers, and he ends up defeating one but doesn't defeat the other. So he'll go out of the way to sometimes
I will have vengeance,
sabotage one of the other monsters to get his own vengeance, and end up getting himself killed in the process.
Whoops.
But he ends up doing it mostly for his brother. There is one episode at the end of this show. I need you to hold my hand for this.
Oh, of course.
Because I was wrong for laughing. But I did anyway.
Okay.
It's the one where they're just like, Metalder transforms within 0.001 of a second. And so listen at this little girl android.
Yeah.
And as soon as he transforms for the first time, she'll blow up right near him and we'll have our time to kill him that way. Then the little girl just goes, Metalder, you can do it. And then blows up. And I cried. It was so funny.
Is it better than the moment in Zubats where the child blew up on the boat?
No, that's
just the ragdoll dummy.
Google doesn't have a way to compare those.
Ugh.
The boat was funny.
The boat was funny.
The little girl in this, it was just so unintentionally hilarious.
You can do it.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Famous last words indeed.
Comedy. And it was so wrong in its comedy.
You know, speaking of wrong comedy, I want to talk about a particular episode where the entire episode is someone abandons some puppies. Do you remember this one?
Was it the one with the dog?
There were dogs, plural. There were puppies in this one.
It wasn't the dog that got turned into a monster?
No, I don't believe so. But, okay, so there's this like, douchebag. He's got, like, a, thing full of puppies. He's got his daughter with him.
Why am I misremembering this?
And, he's like, we can't take care of them, so I'm going to abandon them. So they drive up to the mountains, and he abandons them, somewhere in the mountains, just in the exact spot where some villains are doing weapons practice. So it is just the whole episode. We're constantly cutting back to this box of puppies who are, God bless those old puppy actors. They did their best. And just explosions and bullets and all manner of destruction is happening, just barely missing them because the villains don't see them there. And then Ryusei, Maya, what's the other guy's name? Hako. They manage to find the puppies and they confront the guy and they're like, you dick, you abandoned those dogs. And his daughter didn't know that he abandoned them, so she's like, oh yeah, they're in the trunk. He's like, you locked dogs in a trunk on a day this hot, you monster? And I love how it's just like, we're calling this guy for how much of a dick he's been, for how he's treated the puppies, but then it's just like, cut back to puppies in peril. Oh my goodness, the anxiety.
It's not even the monster's fault this time. It was just, you are a dick.
No, it was all coincidence, and then we have to, it's all about like, we have to rescue the puppies. And that was like the plot of the episode was rescuing puppies.
I actually skipped an episode because I honestly don't remember this.
Oh, really? Well, give it a watch. I would recommend it.
Let's see.
Not as much as I would recommend an episode where we focus on a group of human friends, one of whom is Kenji Mother effing Oba.
Actually, all of these people were pretty much previous Sentai.
I know, but like Kenji Oba was the one that immediately jumped out. It was like, it's him!
Kenji Oba was there. Sharavan? or Scheider, one of the other two.
Really? Another metal hero.
Who also played the metal hero from the year previous.
Yeah.
With, what was the show that we watched?
Just Beyond?
Just Beyond.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was also there.
Oh, nice.
One of the helpers from one of the other metal heroes. Oh, Spielbahn.
Spielbahn, right.
One of the other helpers was there. Yellow 4, the second one, the one.
the one that was allowed to stay on the show.
Yeah, Yellow 4 was there. It was just a whole bunch of previous suit actors.
Yeah.
I believe the Master was a suit actor for Metalder.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. It was just all of them in one episode. So it was sort of a mini.
And that one was multiple. I think it was like
two
it was spread it over 2 episodes because you can get your money's worth.
Yeah.
But that was a cool episode because it was just like, here's some people who are friends and
they were friends of Hako.
Yeah, and like bad things are happening to them. Metalder's caught up in this, and
it was actually a really good episode because it was focused around a guy who was like escaping from the Neros Empire, and Metalder the entire time was like, for somebody who's low on the totem pole, they're doing a lot for you. What's happening here? What's going on? Who are you? What's happening here?
I sense intrigue.
Yeah. Sweetie, what's going on? What's this? What's with the explosions? But yeah, it was just a really, really good
Your outfit is a bit much.
It was a really good set of episodes. Episodes 25 and 26 are the two. And they're fantastic. I really like those 2 episodes. The ending, though. Since this show got canceled and is the shortest Metal Hero series, this show just sped towards that ending.
There's there is a lot of like secret identities, and I was dressed up as him and he was dressed up as me, and I have to protect you. No, get out of here. No, I won't. And
I'm the dude disguised as a dude betraying another
dude. That's actually a pretty good way to put it because we have Kulgin.
Yeah. Ends up taking the place of God Neros.
Yeah.
Because God Neros was like this guy who helped him the Metalder project previously and like tried to do a whole bunch of things for money. Because I'll say this, at least for the Neros Empire, everything is for money. And,
yeah, because God Neros' human persona is like a CEO.
Yeah.
CEO of a major company.
Of a very obvious building that is obviously bad guy.
Bad guy Inc.
Yeah, I'm just like, wow, I wonder
Bank.
what this building, who doesn't look like any of the other ones and is 15 stories tall, 30 stories taller and everything else around it. I wonder if that plays any significance. Take a picture of the place, choose which one is the bad guy's base. But yeah, they're like doing a whole bunch of military contracts and money.
Merchants of Death.
And that's like their whole thing. It's a really interesting thing to watch the villain motivation be something a lot more tangible. It's like, okay, I can sort of understand what they're doing. They're terrible people, but the motivation behind it is at least something I could just like, okay, I can touch that. It
isn't once again, we shall conquer the world.
No, we just want money and possible world domination. I haven't decided. But
Step 2.
Yeah, Kulgin and God Neros are switching positions, and then when Metalder and Top Gunner get in there, he immediately activates the self-destruct sequence, and Metalder's like, why would you do that? You're still here. It's like, oh, wait a minute, you're the dude disguised as a dude betraying another dude. At least Metalder's not stupid.
Yeah.
But in these episodes, though, because it all ends up happening so quickly, I could see this if it was the end game, but it needed a longer stretch of episodes to really make it impactful.
Yeah.
They killed Top Gunner off on like 2 episodes after he really shows up again.
Yeah, because he shows up again with the kid who gets lost in the mountains.
Yeah. And that's where he dies. They kill off Boleski, but at least Boleski,
I will say I like that they bury him with his gun.
Yeah.
Kind of reminded me of Logan burying with the X.
They kill off Boleski, but at least he and Metalder like have an actual conversation at the end of the day, as one robot to another. Was sort of their whole thing, and that's where Loretail dies in the episode beforehand. And then Kulgin is now God Neros, and then Metalder just kills God Neros, but it's like he has a gravity something in his waist.
His like one of his power devices.
Yeah.
It's like Gravitron. They give it some sort of gobbledygook science name.
They really do.
And if that like malfunctions, it will destroy the entire world.
Which I was like, this is an escalation.
This seems like a major oversight.
Yeah. I feel like no was the answer to that. No, maybe we shouldn't do that.
Did Dr. Kogan not think like maybe just put some electrical tape on this or
let's do all the nuclear warheads. Just put them in there. I'm sitting here like I can see maybe the city, but I feel like the world is too big of a step.
but it's like so yeah, it's like so Metalder is victorious in the final battle, but he's been wounded and his device, if it is destroyed, will destroy everyone, literally.
But then, like, if you just
but if you
power core,
yeah, but if you destroy the power core, which is located in his belt, then my human form will cease to exist. Like, I can't become Ryusei anymore. I'll just be Metalder. But the world will be saved. Well, okay then.
No, but the question is how?
Mm-hmm.
Because how? How, Jacob? How? It doesn't make any sense.
Let me get the lampshade.
It really doesn't make it. That's like the one part of this where I'm just like, it doesn't make any sense for the story they were trying to tell. And I think at this point, because they knew that one, they got canceled, they were just like, we just had to find a way
we have to find a way to end this somehow.
Yeah.
So Haku takes up Kugen's sword.
God Neros / Kugen's sword.
Thrusts it into his belt, destroys the thing, and then it does like a weird jump cut where all of a sudden the area around them is completely black because it was like late afternoon twilight.
But they have the sun,
and now it's like completely black, and there's a spotlight on Metalder. And
there's a spotlight on Hako and Mai, and Metalder and Springer are just
Metalder and Springer are up on the hillside,
or like with diffusion or something, because apparently that's what happens when you get stabbed in the power core. Yeah. You just turn to the sky, and diffusion is just there to greet you,
and then. He wishes them farewell, and then we cut to him and Springer on the beach, walking off into the sunset.
It's a bittersweet ending, but I felt like the escalation was just too high for its own good.
It goes from 0 to 100 in the blink of an eye to 150 in the blink of an eye.
150.
All of a sudden, it's like it's not I might die. It's I might die and take the whole world with me, and this was never mentioned before.
Yeah.
So that escalated quickly.
The rest of the show is actually still really quite good. It's just because of the fact that they got canceled. Just like Jacka, they did not know what to do.
I don't think this show is great, but
no.
Like some problems that I do have with it are it does tend to rely a little too much on the formula. Not all the action is great. The voice, it's a minor nitpick, but the voice of the dog I wish was different.
I'm not going to put that on the show, though.
It's part of the show, so I will. But
I know, but it's like this. You wish that something instead of just like this is what it is.
It is what it is, but it is something I think could have been improved. Yeah. But overall, as far as like in terms of like the ranking of the Metal Heroes that we've watched, I think I would put this below Just Beyond as like the second best, because Just Beyond I think has a strong ending and it's also consistent throughout in terms of its quality. It starts really silly, but like once you hit like episode 8 or something and he gets a haircut, then
the hair changes.
Once it gets a haircut, it changes, and I think it stays pretty consistent throughout. This one does as well. It ends a little too abruptly. The action's not great, but again, like they do some really good stuff with the editing. There are consequences throughout. I think the lead character is interesting in that he's not because we haven't really talked about Metalder himself, but because you look at the other Metal Heroes that we've covered thus far, a lot of them are like real like go-getters, shonen heroes who are out to go fight the bad guys and do things that are good because that is what they are. They do good things. And then you have Metalder Ryusei, who is just very much a blank slate.
But it makes sense.
And it makes sense for the story because the actor who plays him, there's not a lot of emotion, there's not a lot of expressions. He's not a very emotional character.
Although his transformation is he got it. Anger, and I'm just like, okay.
I was like, yeah, he is. That's true. He is triggered by anger. That's what gets him.
He's triggered everybody. We got a snowflake Metal Hero out here.
Yeah, maybe not the right choice of words.
No, I did that on purpose.
Fair enough. But I was talking about myself. Anyway, but yeah, just like for the most part, like in his human form, very stoic. and it's an interesting change of pace. And then you have Haku and Mai who are much more energetic, and I think it balances out that way.
Weirdly enough, though, they turned Mai into screaming heroine number 4 at the end of this. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Almost every single time she's on screen, her dad comes in, gets captured, screaming. And I'm just like, wow, that's your character now. They didn't know what to do with you, did they? Nope. Comedy.
Hey, not as comedy is blowing up.
Just why? You can do it, Metalder.
Why not?
Comedy.
She violated her program.
You violated the law.
You're between the law.
Stop. You violated the law. But yeah, this show though, I still quite like
the explosion police show up.
I'm really excited because next time we're back to, really just, I think only one, but we're on to the big one with Jiraiya.
No, next is Decker.
Oh, I'm talking about for the next Metal Hero.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, Jiraiya's coming up next.
Kikaider's not next?
Decker is next, though.
No, Kikaider.
Kikaider.
That's good. Oh, well, fair enough. I've got notes, everybody.
Yeah. It's also weird that we're doing Kikaider so soon after another Red and Blue hero. With Metalder, because he was based on Kikaider.
Who knew?
And I think Top Gunner was based on Hakaider, but I'm not 100% sure on that one.
But Jiraiya, I did not know Jiraiya was a metal hero.
Yep.
But
and
cool.
He's up next.
Cool.
So I'm excited to get to the Ninja Man.
Mm-hmm. And yes, for clarification, that is our next metal hero. Our next review is Ultraman Decker.
Yes, we will be doing Decker because it is now over. Mm-hmm. And I believe that the movie is available online. So we can watch that because I believe that's the actual...
I love that they just get uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah, it
officially uploaded to YouTube. I love that.
So much time.
It's just so nice to just have it right there.
Yep, we got this. Let's go. Yeah, we're doing Decker next, and I'm really excited because this it did end a couple weeks ago, but it sort of fell off my radar.
From what I remember, I liked the first 3 episodes, so we'll see.
But actually, the next thing that will be out on the channel for next week is our first impressions of King Yoger.
Yeah.
And after that, there will be a break because my birthday is the week after. So we'll be back on the 9th, Easter Day, for those of us in the U.S. Actually, I think it's just worldwide. Not 100% sure. But yeah, let us know what you think, what you thought about Metalder and the console level. Let us know what you thought about Decker as well.
Please do.
We'll read them all for the next video. Yeah, don't forget to join us all the things. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for watching.